What if the sound of laughter wasn't madness, but a strategy? What if those eerie calls echoing across the African savannah weren't random chaos, but coded messages, battle plans, political warnings, and ambition in motion? Hyenas already possess one of the most complex social systems of any mammal. Now, imagine giving them our level of intelligence, our reasoning, our memory, our capacity for deception. The night would never belong to lions again. You see, hyenas already defy our expectations. They're not dogs. They're actually more closely related to cats, yet they're smarter than both. Their clans can swell to 80 individuals, all led by dominant females who pass down leadership through generations. With human-level intelligence, that matriarchal order wouldn't just persist, it would evolve into a form of government. Hierarchies would become ruling councils, patrols would become law enforcement, and hunts would be campaigns, complete with strategy briefings under the full moon. And their voices, those cackles, whoops, and giggles that already sound so unsettling, they would transform into a language rich with meaning. A high-pitched whoop might translate to "move to the left flank." A rising cackle could mean "lion scent detected, hold position." The pitch, the rhythm, the echo of every sound would carry precise, calculated intent. Over time, those sounds would splinter into dialects, regional accents, even idioms. The savannah would become a chorus of intelligent communication, completely invisible to all but those who could decode it. Hunting would be revolutionized. Hyenas already outthink most predators, coordinating silently to surround and exhaust their prey. With our intelligence, hunts would become warfare, calculated, data-driven, and brutally efficient. They would track migrations across seasons, analyze wind currents, and even create decoy trails to mislead their competitors. Herds wouldn't fear brute force anymore. They'd fear a predator that could anticipate their every move. Lions would stop seeing hyenas as lowly scavengers. They'd start seeing them as generals. But intelligence brings more than just conflict. It brings infrastructure. Hyenas already dig complex dens and move their cubs between them for safety. Imagine those dens becoming planned, subterranean networks, multi-chambered, ventilated, and layered for perfect temperature control. Each entrance would be marked with signals, chemical, visual, auditory, that could warn of danger or invite allies. Some clans might even fortify their territory with defensive scents or spiked barriers made of hardened bone, arranged intentionally like warning fences. Over time, you'd get cities under the ground, massive, living labyrinths that breathe with the rhythm of 1,000 coordinated minds. With civilization comes trade. Hyenas are opportunists, and they'd quickly realize it's far smarter to bargain than to battle. Clans might start exchanging resources, access to precious salt licks for a cache of bones, or rights to a watering hole in exchange for mutual defense. Meetings under the moonlight would feature delegations exchanging unique vocal signatures instead of handshakes. Rival clans could establish treaties, defined by scent codes etched into rock, which would be renewed each rainy season to prevent conflict. A whole civilization without writing, built on memory, echo, and the complex chemistry of scent. Then there's technology in the animal sense. No metal, no fire, but tools of pure behavior. Hyenas would learn to use stones to crack bones more efficiently. They'd drag branches to block lion paths and dig strategic trenches that funnel prey directly into ambush zones. They might even domesticate smaller animals, like using jackals as scouts or vultures as aerial alarms, paying them for their surveillance with leftover carcasses. The savannah would stop being a wilderness. It would become a living chessboard. This new intelligence would completely rewrite the balance between predator and prey. Zebras, wildebeest, gazelles, entire herds would have to adapt. They'd start migrating at unpredictable times, learning to read the sky not for weather, but for the subtle signs of how these intelligent hyenas behave. Even the lions would be forced into negotiation. Alone, a pride of lions couldn't possibly stand against a coordinated hyena state. The days of stealing kills or bullying scavengers would be over. The kings of the savannah would either adapt or vanish. But with reason also comes reflection. Hyenas have long been feared and misunderstood by us. Our legends call them witches, grave robbers, the embodiment of insanity. But give them intelligence, and that perception flips. They would understand our myths, they would understand our fear, and they would use it to their advantage. An intelligent hyena doesn't need to roar. It just needs to laugh at the right moment to make the entire savannah freeze in terror. At first, humans wouldn't even notice the shift. Herd losses would rise. Game reserves would start reporting strange behavior. Predators coordinating across miles, ignoring easy kills to strike at supply routes, and systematically outsmarting every trap. Rangers would find footprints arranged in deliberate patterns, not coincidence, but communication. Trail cameras would capture eyes in the night, blinking in a synchronized rhythm. It would take years before we realized what was happening, that the scavengers were planning something far more complex than just survival. Would they attack us? Probably not, at least not directly. Hyenas are pragmatic. They'd quickly learn the high cost of a direct conflict with humans. Instead, they would infiltrate. Farms near wild zones would find livestock missing, but no bodies, only bones stripped completely clean and buried for later study. Hunters would vanish without a trace in regions where hyena clans have closed their territory. Research teams would report being followed, their camps surrounded but left untouched. Their equipment moved just slightly, precisely as a clear warning. It wouldn't be war. It would be control through subtlety. The same chilling patience they use when hunting, now applied to us. Eventually, a form of communication might emerge. A ranger leaves a gift of meat at a known boundary. It disappears, replaced by a circle of stones. 5 stones, always 5. A month later, another ranger leaves the same gift. This time, the stones are arranged in a pattern that matches a map grid. Slowly, we'd realize. They're talking back. They wouldn't be seeking dominance, they'd be seeking recognition. The message would be clear. We know your patterns. Now, you will respect ours. A coexistence enforced not by violence, but by the chilling understanding that we can outthink what S watching us from the dark. Culturally, they would thrive. Hyenas already laugh. With intelligence, laughter would become an art form. Comedy would be their social glue. Stories would be told in complex cadences and sounds, passed down across generations. Imagine a moonlit den, hundreds of hyenas gathered, as the matriarch retells an ancient tale of a foolish lion who tried to trick a clan and ended up trapped in his own pride. S. Shadow. The crowd would laugh not just for humor, but for solidarity. Laughter as identity, as memory, as a weapon. The environment itself would change. Intelligent hyenas would manage their ecosystems to maintain prey populations, culling the weak, preserving the strong. The savannas would stay balanced because the predators would act as stewards, not just destroyers. Rivers would run clearer as scavenging waste is reduced to an organized system of recycling remains. The cycle of life wouldn't just continue, it would start to function like a deliberate policy. But what happens when 2 intelligent species, humans and hyenas, share the same continent? We'd have choices. Domination would fail. Extermination would be impossible. Negotiation would have to come next. Maybe even a partnership. They control the wild, we control the infrastructure. They track the herds, we track the weather. Together, we could run the balance of the ecosystem better than either of us could alone. Or we would compete, quietly forever. 2 apex planners separated by language and morality, locked in a silent game of wits. In the end, the real question isn't what hyenas would do with human intelligence. It's what we would do when forced to see our own reflection in the eyes of creatures we've always dismissed as chaotic. If the laughing predators of the night ever learned to think like us, their laughter would stop sounding wild. It would start sounding familiar. And maybe that's the most terrifying truth of all. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this thought experiment, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more what-if scenarios. Let me know in the comments what you think would happen. Until next time, stay curious